How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, September 24th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Thursday, September 23rd. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today and just taking a look of where we are in the year. The MLB season is coming to a close as teams are already starting to clinch playoff spots, and teams are slowly becoming eliminated from the process as a whole. At the same time, the first round of the WNBA playoffs first round took place yesterday as 4 teams have already been eliminated. At the same time, a lot of soccer leagues are getting underway as we are entering the weekend. And not to mention that college football is coming back today, and the NFL just came off of its first game of week 3 yesterday. The NHL is also around the corner, and then of course, not to forget that the NBA is about to start very soon as well. So, starting with the MLB, taking a look at what went down in Cleveland. The Cleveland Indians hosted the Chicago White Sox for a doubleheader. The White Sox would go on to win the first game as the Indians win the second. Looking at the first game where the White Sox won, they would beat the Indians 7-2 after scoring 7 runs in the first 2 innings of the game. For the Indians in this first matchup, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Aaron Civale. Civale would allow 7 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, he's 11-5. In the Indians batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Chicago White Sox. For Cincinnati, though, their first baseman, Bobby Bradley, would end up going 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 15th home run of the year. For the Chicago White Sox, the star went to Reynaldo Lopez. He allowed 2 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched, striking out 4. The win for the White Sox would end up going to Aaron Bummer. Bummer would pitch an inning. He would pitch the 5th inning as he struck out a batter, allowing no hits or outs. With this win, he's 4-5. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 15th and 16th home runs of the season yesterday. Their center fielder, Luis Robert, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run, and he hit his 9th home run of the season. And their right fielder, Larry Garcia, would go 2 for 4 with a run. Last but not least, their second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, would end up going 3 for 3 with a run. And then following this win for the White Sox, the Indians would beat the White Sox in Game 2. This game would go 5-3 as the Indians scored 4 of their 5 runs in the 6th and 7th innings. For the Chicago White Sox, the start was given to Michael Kopech. Kopech would pitch the first 2 innings of the game, striking out 4. The loss would go to the White Sox closer for Game 2, Jose Ruiz. He allowed 2 earned runs in .2 innings pitched to finish off the 6th inning. He would strike out a batter, picking up his first blown save of the season, and with this loss, he's 1-3. In the White Sox batting lineup, their shortstop, Leury Garcia, will go 2 for 4 with a run, and their designated hitter, Yasmani Grandal, will go 2 for 3 with a run. For the Cleveland Indians, the start went to Zach Plesac. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The win and blown save would go to the Indians closer, Emmanuel Clase. Clase allowed 1 run in the 7th inning as he struck out a batter. This would be his 5th blown save of the year, and with his win, he's now 4-5. In the Indians batting lineup, their shortstop, Yu Chang, would end up going 2 for 3. Additionally, their second baseman, Owen Miller, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. With this loss, then win, the Cleveland Indians are now 75-77. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games, and at the moment, they are now the 7th team that has been eliminated from the American League. Because every team in the American League Central has been eliminated from playoff contention. That means the Chicago White Sox, with this win and loss, are now 86-67. That is the best record in the American League Central. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit 10.5 games ahead of the second place Cleveland Indians. So with this loss then loss, the Chicago White Sox have clinched the American League Central Division. They are the first team in the major leagues to clinch their division, and they are the second team in the American League to clinch a playoff spot, as the Tampa Bay Rays have as well. And at the moment, they're holding on to the third playoff seed at the moment, sitting behind the first seed Tampa Bay Rays and sitting behind the second seed Houston Astros. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers hosted the hottest team in baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Cardinals would continue their streak, beating the Brewers 8-5 after the Brewers scored the first 5 runs of the game. The Cardinals would tie the game up at 5 in the top of the 7th inning. In the 8th inning, they would score a couple more off of a pass ball, then a Yadi sacrifice fly, and then it would be a Paul Goldschmidt solo home run to put the Cardinals up by 3 and give them win number 83. For the Milwaukee Brewers in this matchup, the start went to Adrian Hauser. Hauser allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits and 6 innings pitched, striking out 3. The loss would end up going to the Brewers' closer for the day, Aaron Ashby. Aaron Ashby would allow 3 runs in the 8th and 9th innings, striking out 3 batters. With this loss, he's 3-1, his first loss of the year. In the Brewers' batting lineup, their shortstop, Willy Adames, went 2 for 5. Their right fielder, Tyrone Taylor, would end up going 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 11th and 12th home runs of the season. Their center fielder, Lorenzo Cain, would go 2 for 4 as well. For the St. Louis Cardinals, the start went to Adam Wainwright. He allowed 5 earned runs in 4 innings, striking out a batter. The win would go to the Cardinals' second relief pitcher, TJ McFarland. McFarland would allow no earned runs in the 7th inning, striking out a batter. The save would go to the Cardinals closer, Giovanni Gallegos. He allowed no earned runs and no hits in the 9th inning, striking out a couple batters. He now has 12 saves on the season. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 28th and his 29th home runs of the season. Their right fielder, Dylan Carlson, went 3 for 4 with 2 runs. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 83-69. That is the second best record in the National League Central. They've won their last 12 games. That is the best win, or that is the longest winning streak in the MLB at the moment. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 7.5 games in the division. And right now they're holding on to that second National League wildcard spot, sitting 14.5 games behind the defending World Series champs, LA Dodgers, who've already clinched a playoff spot. And they sit 4.5 games ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies, who at the moment are sitting in the first place on the outside looking in. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 91-62. That is the best record in the National League Central. They've lost their last 5 games. That is the longest active losing streak in the MLB, tied with the Texas Rangers, the longest active winning streak in the National League. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games. They sit 7.5 games ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals in their division, and they are holding on to the 2 seed in the National League playoff picture, sitting behind the 1st seed San Francisco Giants and sitting ahead of the 3rd seed Atlanta Braves at the moment. Jumping out to Denver, the site of the 2021 MLB All-Star Game, the Rockies would host the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers would end up beating the Rockies 7-5. The Dodgers would end up tying the Rockies at 5 in the 9th inning, thanks to an RBI single from Trey Turner. And it would be a 2-run home run from Max Muncy in the top of the 10th that would give the Dodgers what they needed for the win. For Colorado, the start was given to Kyle Freeland. He allowed 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 5. The loss would end up going to the Rockies' closer for the day, and the closer would be Lucas Gilbreth. Gilbreth allowed 2 runs in the 10th inning, and with this loss, he's 2-2. In the Rockies' batting lineup, their first baseman, C.J. Cron, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their right fielder, Sam Hilliard, would end up going 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And for the defending champs, the start went to their go-to starting pitcher, Max Scherzer. He allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings as he would go on to strike out 6. The win would go to the Dodgers' usual closer, Kenley Jansen. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2. The save would go to the Dodgers' closer, Blake Treinen. Treinen allowed no earned runs in the 10th inning, and with this save, he now has 6. In the Dodgers' batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Their all-star second baseman, Trey Turner, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their left fielder, A.J. Pollock, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their all-star first baseman, Max Muncy, went 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 35th home run of the season. And their center fielder, Gavin Lux, would go 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 98-55. That is the second best record in all of baseball, and that is the second best record in the National League West. They've won 8 of their last 10 games as they trail the San Francisco Giants by a game in the division. They are holding on to the top National League wildcard spot in the moment as they have already clinched a playoff spot, and they sit 14 and a half games ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals in the wildcard race. They've already clinched that top spot knowing that the second place in the wild card will not be able to catch their record this season. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 71-81. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They've lost 4 of their last 10. They trailed the San Francisco Giants by 27 and a half games in the division, and they are now the 6th team in the National League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. As they now sit alongside the Arizona Cardinals, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Washington Nationals, the Miami Marlins, and the Chicago Cubs. Jumping out to Oakland, the Oakland Athletics hosted the Seattle Mariners, and the Seattle Mariners would end up beating the Oakland Athletics as both of these teams are fighting one another for a playoff spot, especially in the tough AL West. And for the Athletics in this matchup, the start was given to Chris Bassitt. Chris Bassitt would allow no earned runs in the first 3 innings of the game as he struck out 4. The loss would go to Oakland's second relief pitcher on the day, Jake Diekman. Diekman allowed 3 earned runs in .1 innings pitched as he couldn't even finish the 6th inning. He picked up his 7th blown save of the season, and with this loss, he's 3-3. In the Oakland Athletics batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their catcher, Sean Murphy. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 17th home run of the season. Additionally, their first baseman, Matt Olson, went 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. Matt Olson hit his 38th home run of the season yesterday. For the Seattle Mariners, the start went to Yusei Kikuchi. He allowed 3 earned runs in 3 innings, striking out 3. The win would go to the Mariners' third relief pitcher, Joe Smith. Smith allowed no earned runs as he pitched the entire 5th inning. With this win, he's now 3-4. The save would go to the Mariners' closer, Paul Sewald. Sewald allowed 1 earned run in the 9th inning, striking out 2. With this save, he now has 10. In the Mariners' batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their catcher, Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 2nd home run of the season. Additionally, their right fielder, Mitch Haniger, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 35th home run of the season. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are now 84-69. That is the 2nd best record in the American League West. They've won their last 5 games. That is the 2nd longest win streak in the American League. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They trailed the Houston Astros by 7 games in the division, and they trailed the New York Yankees by 2 games for that 2nd American League wildcard spot. They are the 2nd team on the outside of the American League playoff picture looking in, as they also trailed the Toronto Blue Jays by a game. With this loss, the Oakland Athletics are now 82-71. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They've lost their last 4 games. That is the longest losing streak. That's the 2nd longest losing streak in the American League to the Texas Rangers. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They trailed the Houston Astros by 9 games in the division, and they now trail the New York Yankees by 4 games for that 2nd American League wildcard spot. They are the next team in the American League who is in threat of being eliminated from playoff contention. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks, coming into this matchup with the league's worst record, were able to beat the Atlanta Braves 6-4 after scoring 5 runs in the 7th inning. They did come into the bottom of the 7th trailing 4-1. They would tie it off of a 3-run home run from Carson Kelly, and then they would take the lead off of a Dalton Varsho RBI double. Henry Ramos' sacrifice fly was just the cherry on top. For the Atlanta Braves in this matchup, the start went to Charlie Morton. He allowed 3 earned runs in 6 innings as he struck out 8. The loss would go to the Braves' first relief pitcher, Jacob Webb. Jacob Webb would allow 3 earned runs without registering an out. He would not, like I said, he wouldn't get an out in the 7th inning. He picked up his first blown save of the season, and with this loss, Jacob Webb is 5-4. In the Braves batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, went 3-for-4 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman, Austin Riley, went 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 32nd home run of the year. Their left fielder, Adam Duvall, went 2-for-3 with a run, and their catcher, Travis d'Arnaud, went 2-for-4. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start went to World Series hero Madison Bumgarner. He allowed 3 earned runs and 5 innings pitched, striking out 5. The win would go to the Diamondbacks' second relief pitcher, Sean Poppen. Sean Poppen would allow no earned runs in the 7th inning as he struck out 2. With this win, he's 1-0 on the season. And the save would go to J.B. Wendelken. Wendelken would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning. He picked up his second save of the year. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their center, Carson Kelly, would go 2-for-3 with 3 RBIs and a run. He would go on to hit his 12th home run of the season. And then also their pinch hitting center fielder, Dalton Varsho, would go 2-for-3 with 2 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 49-104. They are tied with the Baltimore Orioles for the worst record in all of baseball. They've won 2 of their last 10 games. They trailed the San Francisco Giants by 50 games in the division, which is also the gap between the best and worst records in all of baseball. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are one of 6 teams in the National League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. They sit alongside the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Washington Nationals, the Miami Marlins, the Chicago Cubs, and the Colorado Rockies. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 80-71. That is the best record in the National League East. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They sit 2 games ahead of the second-place Philadelphia Phillies in their division. And at the moment, they are holding on to the 3rd seed in the National League playoff picture, sitting behind the 1st seed San Francisco Giants. And they also sit behind the 2nd-place Milwaukee Brewers for the time being. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres faced off against the San Francisco Giants, and the Padres were able to get a big win at home, winning this one 7-6. They would win this game in the 10th inning as they would walk it off thanks to a single from Victor Caratini. For the San Francisco Giants in this matchup, the start would end up going to Logan Webb. Logan Webb would allow 4 earned runs and 4 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The loss would go to the Giants' closer, Dominic Leone. Dominic Leone would allow 1 run in .1 inning pitched, as of course he wouldn't make it through the 10th inning. With this loss, he's 3-5. In the Giants' batting lineup, nobody on the team would have more than 1 hit. However, their center fielder, Mike Yastrzemski, would go 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 24th home run of the season. For the San Diego Padres, the start went to their elite starting pitcher, Yu Darvish. Their Japanese elite starting pitcher would allow 4 earned runs and 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 7. The win would end up going to the Padres closer, Ross Detweiler. He would allow no earned runs in the 10th inning, and with this win, he's 3-1. In the Padres batting lineup, their third baseman, Ha-Sung Kim, would end up going 2-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 7th home run of the year. Their catcher, Victor Caratini, would go 3-for-5 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the San Diego Padres are now 77-75. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West. They've won 3 of their last 10 games as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 21.5 games in the division. With this loss, the San Francisco Giants are now 99-54. That is the best record in the National League West. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games as they now sit 1 game ahead of the 2nd place LA Dodgers in the division, and they are still holding on to the best record in the National League playoff picture. They sit ahead of the 2nd seed Milwaukee Brewers, and they still sit ahead of the 3rd seed Atlanta Braves, who are sitting on top of the East. Jumping out to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Reds hosted the Washington Nationals. The Nationals would end up beating the Reds 3-2, even though the Reds would score both their runs in the ninth inning. They would make it close. For the Reds in this matchup, the loss went to their starting pitcher, Luis Castillo. He allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 6. With this loss, he's 8-16 on the year for the Reds. In the Reds batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. That was attributed to great pitching from the Washington Nationals. For the Nationals, the win went to their starting pitcher, Patrick Corbin. He allowed no earned runs in 6.2 innings pitched as he struck out 7. He only allowed 4 hits in that span as well that's what he did. With this win, he's now 9-15 on the season. The save would go to the Nationals closer, Kyle Finnegan. Finnegan allowed 2 earned runs in the 9th inning, striking out a batter. He picked up his 11th save of the season. In the Nats batting lineup, their elite right fielder Juan Soto would end up going 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. 2 of his hits were his 28th and 29th home runs of the year. Their first baseman, Josh Bell, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI too. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 64-89. That is the worst record in the National League East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They trail the Atlanta Braves by 17 games in the division, and they are one of 6 teams that have been eliminated from the National League playoff picture. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 78-75. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They trailed the Milwaukee Brewers by 13 games in the division, to give a sense of where the Reds are at the moment. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles, coming into this matchup with the worst record in baseball, hosted the Texas Rangers, the team that had the worst record in the American League West. In this matchup, the Orioles would shut the Rangers out, winning it 3-0, holding the Rangers to 5 hits all game. For the Texas Rangers, the loss went to Glenn Otto, their starting pitcher. He would allow 2 earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game, striking out 7. With this loss, Glenn Otto is 0-3 on the year. In the Rangers batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be great pitching from Baltimore. For the Orioles, the win went to their starting pitcher, Zach Lowther. He allowed no earned runs and only 3 hits in 5 innings as he struck out 7. With this win, he's now 1-2 for the Orioles. The save would end up going to the Orioles closer for the day, Tyler Wells. He would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning, and with this save, he now has 4 on the year. In the Orioles batting lineup, their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 31st home run of the season. Their left fielder, Austin Hayes, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as well. Hayes would hit his 22nd home run of the season. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are now 49-104. That is the worst record in all of baseball, as they are tied with the Diamondbacks for that honor. They've won 3 of their last 10 games as they trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 45 games in the division. That is also the gap between the best and worst teams in the American League. And with this win, they are now one of 6 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention one of 7 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention in the American League. As at the moment, they sit alongside the Texas Rangers, the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals, the Los Angeles Angels, the Detroit Tigers, and the Cleveland Indians. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies hosted the Pittsburgh Pirates, and in this intrastate matchup, the Phillies would end up beating the Pirates 12-6 after scoring 7 runs in the last 3 innings to, of course, not only take the lead, but, of course, double the Pirates' score. For the Pirates in this matchup, the start was given to Connor Overton. Connor Overton would allow 4 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The loss would go to the Pirates' second relief pitcher, Anthony Banda. Banda would allow 3 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out a batter before he would end up getting pulled in the 6th inning. He would pick up his 4th blown save of the season, and with this loss, he's 2-2. In the Pirates batting lineup, their first baseman, Colin Moran, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Moran would hit his 9th home run of the season. He was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the win went to Aaron Nola, their starting pitcher. He allowed 6 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8. With this win, he's 9-8 on the year. In the Phillies batting lineup, their center fielder, Odubel Herrera, went 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Their pinch-hitting catcher, JT Realmuto, their all-star, went 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. Realmuto would hit his 16th home run of the season. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 79-74. That is the second best record in the National League East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They trail the Atlanta Braves by 2 games in the division at the moment, and they trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 4.5 games for that second National League wildcard spot. The Philadelphia Phillies are the first team on the outside of the playoff picture looking in at the moment. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 57-95. That is the worst record in the National League Central. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games, and they now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 33.5 games in the division. They are one of 6 teams in the National League that have failed to qualify for the playoffs as of this far in the season. Jumping out to Minneapolis, to the Twin Cities, the Minnesota Twins hosted the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Twins would end up beating the Blue Jays to spoil the Blue Jays season a little bit. The Twins would win it 7-2. The big difference was the 5th inning, in which the Twins would break the 2-2 tie and score 4 runs in the 5th inning. One of them from a ground out from Luis Arraez, and then 3 of them from a home run from Nick Gordon. For the Toronto Blue Jays in this matchup, the start went to Steven Matz. He allowed 2 earned runs in 3 innings, striking out 6. The loss would go to the Blue Jays' first relief pitcher, Thomas Hatch. Thomas Hatch allowed 3 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched. He would strike out a batter before getting pulled in the 5th. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their right fielder, Teoscar Hernandez, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He would hit his 30th home run of the season. For the Minnesota Twins, the win went to Michael Pineda. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings, striking out 2. With this win, he's 8-8. The save would end up going to the Twins closer, Ralph Garza Jr. Garza Jr. allowed no earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched, finishing off the 8th and then pitching the entire 9th. He would strike out a batter as well. This would be his first save of the season. In the Twins batting lineup, their center fielder, Byron Buxton, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their catcher, Mitch Garver, will go 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their left fielder, Nick Gordon, will go 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 4th home run of the season. With this win, the Minnesota Twins are now 68-85. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They trailed the Chicago White Sox by 18 games in the division. And the Minnesota Twins at the moment are one of 7 teams that have failed to qualify for the playoffs in the American League. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 85-68. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 5 of their last 10. They trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 9 games in the division. They trail the New York Yankees by a game for that second American League wildcard spot. At the moment, the Toronto Blue Jays are 1 game on the outside looking in. Jumping out to Anaheim, last but not least, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the AL West leading Houston Astros. The Angels would end up beating the Astros 3-2, even though the Astros would score their second run of the 9th. They would make it look close, but the Angels would pull out win number 73 to, of course, spoil the Astros' aspirations in the playoff picture, I guess. For the Houston Astros in this matchup, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Lance McCullers Jr. He would allow 3 earned runs in 6 innings as he struck out 5. With this loss, he's now 12-5 on the year. In the Astros batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Los Angeles Angels. For the Astros, however, their pinch hitter, Jason Castro, would end up going 1 for 1 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 6th home run of the season. For the Los Angeles Angels, the start was given to Alex Cobb. Cobb allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 4. The win would go to the Angels' first relief pitcher, Austin Warren. Warren would allow no earned runs in 1.1 inning pitch to finish off the sixth inning and pitch the entire seventh. With this win, he's 2-0, and the save would go to the Angels closer, Raisel Iglesias. Iglesias would allow one earned run in the ninth inning as he struck out 3. With this save, he now has 33 on the season. In the Angels batting lineup, their third baseman, Jack Mayfield, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 73-80. That is the fourth best record in the American League West. They've won 3 of their last 10. They trailed the Houston Astros by 18 games in the division. They are one of 7 teams in the American League that have been eliminated from playoff contention. And with this loss, the Houston Astros are now 91-62. That is the best record in the American League West. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games. They sit 7 games ahead of the second place Seattle Mariners within the division. And the Astros are holding on to that second wild card, or they're holding on to that second playoff picture. There's that second seed in the playoff picture as they trail the 1 seed Tampa Bay Rays, and they sit ahead of the 3rd seed Chicago White Sox, who have already clinched their division by this time in the season. So right now, that is what the MLB is looking like as we quickly jump into what's going on today. It seems as though the Atlanta Braves and the San Diego Padres game will resume after it was suspended. And the game number 2 of that will be at 10 o'clock on ESPN as Max Fried will start for the Atlanta Braves. Earlier on ESPN at 2:20, it'll be game 1 of another doubleheader as one of the other big rivalries in baseball takes place. The Chicago Cubs are going to host the hottest team in baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals. For the Cardinals, J.A. Happ is going to make the start, and then Justin Steele is going to start for the Chicago Cubs. Game 2 of this matchup is going to take place at 8:05 on ESPN+, as Zach Davies and the Chicago Cubs are going to host Jack Flaherty and the St. Louis Cardinals. Jack Flaherty comes into Game 2 with a 9-2 record, holding a 3.08 ERA. At 7 o'clock on ESPN, it'll be arguably the most impactful rivalry in all of baseball. Nathan Eovaldi and the Boston Red Sox are going to host the New York Yankees, led by their elite starting pitcher, Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole comes into this matchup with a 15-8 record, holding a 3.03 ERA. Nate Eovaldi takes his home mound with a 10-8 record, holding a 3.58 ERA. At the moment, the Boston Red Sox are holding the second seed, and they have the second best record in the American League East and the first best record in the American League wild card. The Yankees have the third best record in the American League East as the Yankees are holding on to that second wild card slot. Jumping out to the Pennsylvania matchup, the Philadelphia Phillies, holding the second best record in the National League East, are going to host the Pittsburgh Pirates. At 7:05, Alexander Wells and the Baltimore Orioles are going to host Spencer Howard and the Texas Rangers. The Orioles are still in competition with the Diamondbacks to compete for not the worst record in all of baseball. At 7:10, the Cleveland Indians, led by their elite starting pitcher Shane Bieber, are going to host Dylan Cease and the Chicago White Sox. Shane Bieber is going to return to the lineup after a long while. He comes into this matchup with a 7-4 record, holding a 3.28 ERA on the year. Also at 7:10, Casey Mize and the Detroit Tigers are going to host Carlos Hernandez and the Kansas City Royals. Carlos Hernandez comes into this matchup with a 6-2 record, holding a 3.9 ERA. Casey Mize enters this matchup for the Detroit Tigers with a 7-8 record, holding a 3.64 ERA. At the same time, at 7:10, Edward Cabrera and the Miami Marlins are going to go to Tampa Bay to face off against David Robertson and the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays are still holding on to the best record in the American League East as they are still fighting for playoff seeding. At 7:10, Sonny Gray and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Paolo Espino and the Washington Nationals. Sonny Gray comes into this matchup with a 7-8 record and a 3.84 ERA, and Paolo Espino on the road comes in with a 5-5 record and a 3.94 ERA. The Cincinnati Reds are still in contention for a playoff spot, but they are 5.5 games behind St. Louis, so they cannot lose from this moment going forward. At 8:10, Eric Lauer and the Milwaukee Brewers are going to host Tyler McGill and the New York Mets. Eric Lauer enters his matchup with a 6-5 record and a 3.03 ERA as the Brewers look to as they're looking for another win, even though they've already clinched their playoff spot. And at the same time, at 8:10, Peter Lambert and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Alex Wood and the San Francisco Giants at Coors Field, the site of the 2021 All-Star Game. Alex Wood comes into this matchup with a 10-4 record and a 3.99 ERA. At the same time, at 8:10, Bailey Ober and the Minnesota Twins are going to host Jose Barrios and the Toronto Blue Jays. Barrios comes into this matchup with a 12-8 record and a 3.45 ERA for a Blue Jays team that is sitting just one game outside of the wild card picture at the moment. At 9:38, Jose Suarez and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Logan Gilbert and the Seattle Mariners. Jose Suarez comes into this matchup with a 7-8 record and a 3.67 ERA. And the Mariners are still fighting for that second wild card spot as they sit 2 games outside of the playoff picture. At 9:40, Frankie Montas and the Oakland A's are going to host the AL West leading Houston Astros, led by Zach Greinke. Greinke comes into this matchup with an 11-6 record, holding a 4.11 ERA. Frankie Montas is going to take his home mound, holding a 12-9 record and a 3.57 ERA. At 9:40, last but not least, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the co-holders of the worst record in baseball, are going to host the defending World Series champs, LA Dodgers, led by Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin enters this matchup with a 3-1 record, holding a 2.59 ERA. So that is what's going on in the MLB at this very moment. Taking a look at what's going on in the WNBA following yesterday's first-round matchups. In the first game that took place, the Chicago Sky were able to beat the Dallas Wings 81-64. The big difference would come, I guess, in the first quarter, Chicago would outscore Dallas by 11, and then they would also outscore Dallas by 12 in the fourth quarter. It was just those end quarters that would be the difference. For the Dallas Wings, their leading scorer would be their starting guard, Arike Ogunbunwale. She would finish with 22 points, 2 rebounds, a couple of assists, and she would foul out on the day. She would shoot 8 for 16 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line on the night. For the Chicago Sky in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting guard, Kalia Copper. Kalia Copper would score 23 points. That would be the game high, shooting 10 for 14 from the field and 3 for 5 for the line, also adding a couple of rebounds, a couple of assists. Additionally, a big performer for them was their starting forward and future Hall of Famer Candace Parker. She finished with 11 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals as well. Also, their guard Courtney Vandersloot would end up with 17 points on the night, 8 rebounds and 6 assists in 33 minutes, shooting 6 for 11 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Chicago Sky coming into this playoffs with the 6th seed are going to face off against the 3rd seed Minnesota Lynx in the next round. And then looking at the second matchup that took place in the playoffs that eliminated the second team from this 8-team playoffs, the Phoenix Mercury hosted the New York Liberty, and in this matchup, the Mercury would end up winning this game 83-82, as this game would virtually come down to the very end. For the New York Liberty in this matchup, their leading scorer would end up being their starting forward, Benijah Laney. Benijah Laney would end up, she finished with 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists on the night as she almost fouled out. Their young guard, Sabrina Ionescu, would finish with 14 points and 11 assists, along with 5 rebounds, so she had a double-double. And for the winning hometown Phoenix Mercury, their leading scorer would be their guard out of Notre Dame, Skylar Diggins-Smith. She finished with 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes, as she also finished with 5 fouls. She shot 8 for 18 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Also, their starting center out of Baylor, Brittany Griner, would finish with 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as 3 blocks. She shot 6 for 8 from the field in 40 minutes, so a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. And also off the bench for Phoenix was Sophie Cunningham. She would finish with 21 points off the bench in 22 minutes, shooting 6 for 9 from the field. All of her makes coming from 3. She would shoot 6 for 7 from 3 for the day, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Phoenix Mercury, who came into this playoff came into these playoffs with the 5th seed are going to face off against the 4th seed Seattle Storm. That's what the playoffs are going to be looking like. As next round, the second round is also a single game elimination. And once these matchups are played, they will determine who's going to face off against whom in the semifinal round. Going into this matchup, or I guess these next 2 second round matchups are going to take place on Sunday, September 26th. And I guess once I get there, I will explain that level of the round. And I'm also going to do an episode after this. Is going to be a preview for it. So that is what the NBA playoff picture is looking like at the moment. Taking a look at what was going on with the NFL yesterday, the Houston Texans took on the Carolina Panthers for the first game of Week 3. The Carolina Panthers would end up beating the Texans 24-9 as they outscored Houston 17-3 in the second half after they were only leading by 1 at halftime. For the Houston Texans, their starting quarterback, Davis Mills, would throw for 168 yards and a touchdown. He would also, like I said, he also had an additional carry for not even an additional yard. Their leading receiver was Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks had 112 yards on 9 receptions for the day. And on the defensive side of the ball for Houston, their leading tackler was Zach Cunningham. He had 14 tackles on the day. Christian Kirksey would end up with 10. For the Carolina Panthers in this matchup, their starting quarterback, Sam Darnold, would throw for 304 yards. Their leading rusher, Chuba Hubbard, had 52 yards on 11 carries for the day. He also had 27 yards through the air. That would end up being 79 total yards of offense. Their leading receiver, DJ Moore, had 126 yards on 8 receptions. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Shaq Thompson and Dante Jackson will lead the team in tackles as they both would have 6. Their defensive lineman, Hassan Reddick, would finish with 2 tackles on the day as he had a sack and a half for Carolina. With this win, the Carolina Panthers are now 3-0 to start their season, and the Houston Texans are now 1-2 to start theirs. That is roughly how the season is going to get started. And looking into what's going on I guess the next NFL games are going to take place on Sunday. And once I get to Sunday, I'm going to go into depth about what games to look forward to. Taking a look at what's going on with college football today, there's only one ranked matchup going on as the 22nd ranked Fresno State Bulldogs are going to host unranked UNLV. UNLV comes into this matchup with an 0-3 record. Fresno State is now 3-1 on the year. So this game is going to be on CBS Sports Network at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that is what football is looking like. At the same time, the NHL hockey season is right around the season as that season starts tomorrow. And then last but not least, taking a look at what's going on with soccer outside of the country. The only big game there were 2 games that really took place. Starting in Spain, Barcelona drew versus Cádiz after their elite Dutch midfielder Frankie de Jong got a red card in the 65th minute. With this draw, looking at the La Liga table, Barcelona is currently sitting 7th in the table, as right now they aren't even in position for Europa League, but at the same time, they're only 5 games in. And then looking out into Italy, Napoli was able to take the lead over Serie A as they beat Sampdoria 4-0. With their win, they are the only undefeated team remaining in Serie A through their first 5 games in the season. So now Napoli is a team of interest. And then that's going to lead us or segue us into what's going on today. The only big matchup is going to take place in Germany as the worst team in Germany further is going to face off against Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga the reigning Bundesliga champs who are coming off of a very big win. The other team that was most recently relegated. So this is going to be a very interesting one. This one's going to be on ESPN Plus. And that's virtually everything that I've got going on for sports for today, Friday, September 24th, 2021. I want to thank the MLB, the FIFA, the NCAA, the NFL, and the WNBA, especially even the NHL websites for helping me with the stats and figures that I need in order to complete this episode. And of course, I want to thank ESPN as well. I want to apologize for any of the names that I butchered because I do plan on getting them right. It's just there's so many names. I'll gradually learn them as time goes on. And with that said, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to all 44 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are done, I will come back tomorrow on Saturday, September 25th for another episode. And of course, once again, I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another episode following this just to preview the second round for the WNBA playoffs. Thanks once again. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you with more after this.